and welcome back to Melissa's Kitchen Table, and I'm going to do another week of what's for dinners. I haven't done one of these in a long time, but now that I have been working from home, I'm home earlier, so it's a little bit easier for me to get prepared. Well, of course I'm home earlier, so it's easier for me to get prepared and to do the videos. So tonight we're going to be doing a Trader Joe meal. Show you in there. We have the Trader Joe orange chicken cooking, and then with that I'm gonna make some white rice in the Instant Pot, and we're gonna have a veggie stir fry. So I have about maybe a half a head of cabbage and some sugar snap peas, and I'm gonna saute in a pan. And then the rice, I'm cooking 2 cups of white rice. I rinsed it off very well in like a strainer. I'm going to put that in the Instant Pot for, I believe, 4 minutes. Let's see. Yes, for 4 minutes. So I have 2 cups of white rice that I drained very well. And it's a 1-to-1 ratio, so 1 cup rice, 1 cup water. Now I'm making so much extra because I'm gonna put some oil in here too. And I don't usually season until after. But I'm putting so much rice in here because later on this week I'm going to do like either chicken, most likely chicken fried rice or beef fried rice, something like that. And we also have the Kung Pao cauliflower from Trader Joe's. So I'm just going to prepare this now so it's all set to go. Now tomorrow night I think I'm going to be doing fried chicken. So I have a link for my air fryer fried chicken that I will leave below, and then I'll show you tomorrow how I do the regular fried chicken. And I'm going to do like a KFC copycat coleslaw, so I'm going to prepare that tonight so it sits overnight. I'm trying to think what else. So yeah, I'm gonna put this in, let that cook, and cook up the veggies. Alright, so I got my pan nice and hot. I'm gonna put some olive oil in here. And the cabbage. Now, I don't need a lot of color on this. I just want to cook it, but I don't want to steam it or anything. But it doesn't need to have that big sizzle. And we'll put our peas and let that go. Season to taste. But it is helpful if you put a little bit of salt on there to wilt your vegetables so they don't brown as much. You know, I just got these from Trader Joe's, and they really don't look the greatest. No, I'm sorry, I didn't get these from Trader Joe's. I got these from Walmart. That's why. I'm not used to their produce. They were cleaned. So this is a little disclaimer I wanted to mention to everybody, that when I do these like videos and stuff, I'm just showing you how to cook. It's not about hygiene. So I do wash my hands, I wash my sink before I put any food in there. Like, those are just common practices that I'm not telling everybody to do, because I'm just showing you guys how I cook. So I think everyone just needs to follow good hygiene and leave those comments about, oh my god, you don't clean under your nails, or your sink is dirty, why are you putting food in there? I use a brush, I scrub under my nails because I have longer nails, and I clean my sink multiple times a day. Like, I use my sink and I'm always cleaning it with disinfectant spray and all of that. So I just wanted to give a little disclaimer about that. Alright, so I'm going to put this on medium heat, let that cook, and then I'm going to start preparing the coleslaw. Okay, so these veggies are pretty soft now. I'm just going to flavor them with some soy sauce And then I don't know if I have anymore. I used to have a seasoning. Well, I got this from Trader Joe's, the Open Sesame. That's really good. I like that one. So I will use that. That is, let's see if you could see the ingredients. You could take a screenshot of that if you want to replicate it, or you could just get like a Chinese seasoning. That works really well. Now the rice is all done. I have that venting. Should be almost done. And then the chicken, and I will mix that in the sauce, and I will show you what our plates look like. And here's what it looks like. I just have the white rice on the bottom. I put some of the chicken on top with the sauce, and then our stir-fry veggies. I did put a little sriracha in there as well. Yeah, and then I put the rice in a container so it'll cool off, throw it in the fridge, and it'll be ready to go for another night this week. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Okay, so it's the night before. I'm gonna get my coleslaw ready. And I'm just gonna, normally I just cut it, but because this is like a KFC copycat, which I will leave the full recipe down below. I'm not making as much as the recipe calls for, so mine's gonna be a little bit different, but I will leave the link to it down below. So I believe their coleslaw is more of a grated coleslaw. So I'm going to grate up this cabbage and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so you're going to use mayonnaise, milk, buttermilk, sugar, salt, pepper, vinegar, lemon juice. The cabbage, I shredded a half a carrot. You could also use onion. I'm not going to use that. Like I said, I'll leave you the recipe, so I am not going to measure everything out, but I will leave it for you. So I'm going to put the sugar in, some salt, so I don't have buttermilk, but if you use regular milk and vinegar, you're going to get buttermilk, so I might measure that out. Start with a half cup, a quarter cup. Then put some mayo. I also don't have lemon juice, so the vinegar should do good. Let me get that. Alright, so you need 1.5 tablespoons of white vinegar and a little bit of 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. So we'll start with this and see how that goes. I'm just going to mix this up. And again, this is for tomorrow, so I just wanted it to sit in the fridge overnight. And I don't really care for black pepper, so I'm not putting any in, but you can, of course. And you could add the lemon juice, you could put the buttermilk, you could put whatever you want in it. You could put sriracha to make it spicy. We do that for fish tacos. So that will be for tomorrow night. Okay, so now I'm going to get ready. I'm going to brine the chicken for the fried chicken. And it calls for buttermilk, which I don't have. So I'm just going to use some regular milk. I would say that's about a cup to a cup and a half. And that all depends on how much chicken you're using. I'm only using 4 chicken thighs. And I'm going to add about a tablespoon of vinegar. Or you can use lemon juice. That will curdle the milk. And you can see it, well, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera, but it does happen fairly quickly. All right, now I'm gonna brine mine in a bag, but I have it in a bowl, so nothing in case it leaks or anything like that. I am going to be putting some hot sauce in here. Use as much or as little as you want. You could also use cayenne pepper. I don't have any of that. I'm going to be using some sage. For the chicken, like I said, you can use poultry seasoning too, sorry. I'm using 4 chicken thighs. You can use a whole chicken cut up. You can use chicken breast. You can use drumsticks. Use whatever it is you want. It doesn't, the only thing that'll change is the cooking time. About a teaspoon of onion powder. I'm going to use some smoked paprika. If I had regular paprika, I would use that, but I don't. I'm going to use some garlic powder. And it is a lot of seasoning, but it's going to be soaking in the chicken, and it's going to be, the chicken will be taken out after. And I'm just using some of this chicken seasoned salt. You can use any kind of seasoned salt you like. I think it was Missy from Missy XO. She is the one that has showed me that little, well, everyone, that little trick that these little ridges are on the bottom, so you can do that to get the stuff out easier. And you're going to use about a tablespoon of salt. If you don't want to use that much salt, don't. I get so many comments about using too much salt, not enough salt. It's crazy how critical people can be about salt. But remember, it's just brining this chicken. You're taking it out of this mixture. So use whatever amount of salt you prefer. All right. Now, I started this, it's about 9 o'clock in the morning. We don't eat until about, I don't know, I'll probably start cooking around 6. You want to give it a couple of hours at least to brine it. All right, so we'll get our chicken in, and we're gonna let this sit all day in the fridge. And then just close the bag, get out the majority of the air. And I just, you know, I don't know, a couple times a day, when I think about it, I just mix it up a little to make sure all the chickens get in, sitting in that. And then I will show you after how I dredge it and we cook it. All right, so I'm gonna start coating the chicken now. I have my flour here, and I have some flour here with the 2 egg yolks. I have some water. Now I'm gonna leave the recipe for the dredging and the frying part. This recipe doesn't call for the brine, so I just kind of mixed 2 of them up. And it also says you can use bare instead of water. I'm using a lot less because I'm only doing 4 pieces of chicken. She's using a whole 3-pound chicken, which I believe is what? 2, 4, 6, 8 pieces. So right now I have my oil in a pot on the stove heating up to 350 degrees. And the part where it says to moisten each piece of chicken with a little water, I don't need to because mine's already in a brine. So I'm just going to start by adding a little bit of water in here to make like the batter. I'm also going to season this with the same seasonings I used before, the seasoned salt. And in this one, because it's going to be a batter, I'm going to put a little more hot sauce. I think I used all the, I can't even think. I used all of the onion powder. So I'm going to use some garlic. And we'll use some pepper. Alright, so I'm just going to start mixing this up. Okay, so if you have a fryer, you can use that. I do have one, but it does take a lot of oil, and I don't have enough oil for it. Let me go get some more water. Okay. So I have a tray that I'm going to use to drain the chicken on when it's done cooking. And I just put a piece of parchment on top of it so I can use it right now to put the chicken on, the raw chicken, that I will discard that paper. Alright. So we have well-seasoned chicken, well-seasoned breading, coating, whatever. And the oil is heating up. So let's make a little station over here. Get some of this out of the way. Let's see, hang on. Okay, so I'm just gonna get my hands dirty. They're clean, but it's just easier. All right, so we are going to start by putting this into the dry. If you can use both hands, you're better off than getting it really stuck on. And then shake off all the excess. Put it into the batter. And then, you already messed that up. You want to use, you can't see. Then the batter over there, I'll move you in a minute. And then I'll put it back into the flour. That way you guys can see both. It's a little harder this way, so just do the best you can. Your hands are going to be messy. Wear gloves if, you know, you're worried about getting it on you. That's all I could tell you. It's messy. All right, so all of that is what's going to make really crispy fried chicken. So I'm going to go ahead and finish these up, and then I'll show you before I get it into the oil. Okay, so I'm just going to use a thermometer here to check to make sure this is at 350. You don't want it to be too much higher than that, otherwise the chicken will burn before it cooks. But if it's under that, then the chicken is going to be very greasy, and you don't want that. Now, when you put the chicken in the pan, it's going to come down a little bit. So now, right now, my oil is too hot. So I'm going to lower it a little bit and wait a few minutes and check it again. Okay, so I have 2 tips for you when making fried chicken in your house. Have a nice candle, anise or peppermint is a nice scent to get rid of that fried smell, because I can't stand that smell. So we usually do our chicken outside, but it's way too cold out. And let me go get my dog. Hang on. And my second tip is to keep your oven on as low as it can go. I have a warm function on mine because this isn't big enough to fry all the chicken at once, which I'm going to start putting it in. So that way you can continue what you are doing and it won't get cold. So I'm just moving it around so it doesn't stick to anything. It'll get a nice coating on it. And these are thicker pieces, so this is going to take anywhere from 14 to 16 minutes to 18 minutes. My guess is these are going to be about 16 probably, because they're thighs. Breast, I would say, will be a little bit longer. But I'll have that linked in that recipe as well. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this one, the first ones that I did, and the oil was too hot. So you'll see that they're a little bit darker. They still taste just fine, but they cooked a little harder, I guess. These are what you want them to look like. Nice and crispy, a nice golden brown. And I believe it's what? Chicken is 165 degrees, so I keep my meat thermometer handy. And I'm just going to serve it with the coleslaw that I prepared yesterday. And once everything's all together, I will show you, I will insert a picture of our plates. Hey everyone, welcome back to another night of What's for Dinner. Tonight I'm going to be making creamy pasta in the Instant Pot. So I have my Instant Pot on saute, and I'm putting in 1 pound of ground pork. Now that's what I have on hand, but of course you can use ground beef. You can also use ground sausage. So I am going to saute this, let that cook up. Now, I always serve our pasta. Typically, I mix half pasta, half zucchini. So over here on the stove, I have some zucchini and yellow squash that I sauteed up. And that's just going to sit there until we are ready to finish the pasta. So I'm going to cook this and then I'll show you what's next. Okay, to this I'm going to add spices that we like. So I'm going to be using garlic powder, onion powder, and chili flakes. You can use whatever you like. If you have fresh garlic, of course use that. You can use fresh onion too. If you use either of the two, you'd want to saute them with the meat first. Okay, so we are going to turn this off for now. I'm going to dump in a box of noodles. I'm using penne. The original recipe that a lot of times when I look at recipes, I do it for the guidance on the cooking part, but I don't always add the same exact ingredients. But I did look for the timing. So they used shells. So now you're going to use 3 cups of broth. I'm using chicken broth or stock. You can use beef as well. This container is 4 cups, so I'm going to leave a cup in. And at this point, you do not want to stir anything. You just want to pat the pasta down. It's going to be basically covered. All right, got that. And then you need a 24-ounce jar of sauce. We don't buy tomato sauce, so this is all I have on hand, and it's 28 ounces of diced tomatoes. But you just have to make do with what you have. All right, so everything is nicely covered. And then I'm going to put the lid on this, and I'm going to put it on high for 5 minutes with a quick release. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you take the cover off. I'm just going to move that around. All right, so you're going to add, the recipe calls for 1 cup of heavy cream and 2 ounces of cream cheese. I only have milk. I don't have heavy cream, so that might make it a little bit thin. So I'm going to use a little bit more than 2 ounces of cream cheese. But in the recipe I leave down below, it'll call for the 2 ounces. And then you're going to use a cup of Parmesan cheese. And I do want mine a little bit saucier because, like I said, I'm going to be adding the zucchini to mine, which the regular recipe doesn't have that as well. So I'm going to let this melt a little. That's going to take probably like 2 minutes or so. Okay, so now we're going to add our 1 cup of cheese. And this is freshly grated Parmesan. Which, if you buy a big bag, like every now and then I'll go to this nice Italian store and I get a big bag of their freshly grated Parmesan. Sometimes I store it in the freezer if we don't use it fast enough. So, to be honest, I don't think this really needs any cream or any milk. So I'm just going to leave that out. I'm just going to serve it like this. And I'll show you how to do that. I'm just going to put this on the bottom. And of course, like I said, the other one calls for pasta sauce and not tomatoes like what I have. So when you look at the recipe, it's going to look a little bit different. And then I just put the zucchini on top. And you can sprinkle with a little extra Parmesan cheese. And that's for what's for dinner. Hey everyone, welcome back to another night of What's for Dinner. Today I'm going to be making chicken fried rice and kung pao cauliflower. So I have just probably about a pound of chopped up chicken, bite-sized pieces. These were chicken tenders that I just cut up. You can use whole chicken breast. I'm going to use some soy sauce. And this depends on how much chicken you're marinating. But we want to use enough to cover. You can salt and pepper to taste. Just be careful because soy sauce, of course, is salty. Normally I buy the reduced sodium from Trader Joe's, but I had this already on hand. And you can use fresh garlic, but I don't have any of that as well. So I'm going to use a good dose of garlic powder. We are going to use some sugar. You can use white or brown. I just happen to have white sugar on hand. It's about a tablespoon. And I'm going to be using some Chinese 5-spice. I'm just making this up as, like, just different things to use. It's not any recipe that I've found. So this is pretty potent, so I use about that much. It's, I think, about 1/4 teaspoon. You don't like too much. If you have hoisin sauce, you could definitely use that. That's really good. And then I just let this marinate for about an hour, 2 hours. Also for fried rice, you want to make sure you're using completely cooked and cooled rice. So the other day, I had made a big pot of white rice, and I have the rest of that sitting in a container. So it's very cold, and you want to make sure you use cold rice for this. So I'm going to put this back in the fridge, cover it, put it in the fridge, let it sit for an hour or two, and then I'll show you how we do the rest. Okay, so right now I have this Trader Joe's tempura cauliflower, the Kung Pao kind, and I'm going to put this in my air fryer, the Instant Pot version. So let's open this bag up, and then you have a packet of sauce, and then you have your cauliflower. And you just put half down in the bottom there. Then you put this little tray in, and you put the other half on top. And you can just follow the package directions. They go 450 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes. And they come out super crispy. I haven't tried them in the oven, so I'm not sure about that. But in the air fryer, they come out extremely well. And then I have my cast iron skillet heating so I can cook the chicken. Okay, so this pan is super, super hot. And let's see. I'm going to get some oil in there. Now, I'm going to start with the chicken. If you have sesame seed oil, you could also use this in the recipe. I unfortunately don't. I'm out of it. Alright, so this should cook fast because they're super thin and a really hot pan. But that's what I want. I don't want our chicken just to boil. So anyways, to ours, I'm going to add some frozen peas and then some chopped up carrot. And I'm also going to add some chopped up broccoli. I have fresh broccoli to use. You could add onion. You could add snow peas. You can add water chestnuts, bamboo, shoots. Trying to think of those little... There's some kind of, they're thin, kind of clear, I can't think of one, beans. Anyways, you can do any kind of veggie you want. You can use pork, you can use beef, you can use shrimp, you can use a mixture. However you want to do it, whatever you like. Alright, so I'm just going to finish cooking this, and once this is done, I'm going to take it out and put it in a separate plate. Alright, so I'm going to add some more oil. This pan is crazy hot. And I'm going to add my vegetables. Oops. If your veggies are all cooked, you could add the rice in first. But our vegetables need to cook a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to let these cook for about 4 minutes, we'll say. Okay, so that went for about 4 minutes. I'm going to add my peas. And I'm going to push this all to the side. Yes, we have to reseason our cast iron, you know. I'm going to put some oil there. And I'm going to drop in our cold rice. And like I said before, you want to make sure your rice is nice and cold, or it'll get real sticky on you. And it won't have the same texture. Okay, so I'm just gonna Warm that back up. Move it around. If you have a good cast iron skillet, it won't stick like that. It's been a while since we seasoned ours. Okay, so this can all get mixed in together. And now we're going to season. So I've never tried the fried rice seasoning packets, but I've seen other people haul them. So you can use that if that's what you like. I'm going to do some soy sauce. And this is to taste. So you have to gauge how much you want, and I'm going to lower this now. I don't want it too high. I think I might add a little chicken broth, but I'm not certain yet. Might just a little. I want it to plump up the rice. Now I'm sure other people do theirs differently, and that's okay. So basically now we're just heating up the rice. Finish cooking the vegetables. And then salt and pepper to taste. You might need some more soy sauce. You might want to add some garlic to yours. You can add sesame seeds. You can add sesame seed oil. However you want to do it. So I'm just going to lower this to low. And I'm going to add my chicken back. The chicken, you could have also used a teriyaki glaze on that if you wanted. Alright, so this is all set. I'm just going to let this sit here on warm and make a mess. And I'm going to wait for the cauliflower to be done. I'm going to, I have a sauce, the sauce packet in the bowl. I'm going to microwave that until it's nice and warm. Then I will mix the cauliflower in the sauce and plate it up, and I'll show you what our plates look like. And I almost forgot to show you the eggs. So you crack an egg in, however many you want. Just like that. And then start mixing it up. You could mix it right in with everything else, but it kind of loses the scrambled egg effect. So I'm just going to let that cook, and then I'll mix the rice into it, and I'll show you our plates. Okay, and here's the final dish. I don't know if you could hear how crispy that is. And then our fried rice. And that will conclude this video of what's for dinner. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe and share, and I'll talk to y'all next time. Bye.